with the SEO team here at Performics UK, and today we discussed during our first day of training SEO 101, which turned out to be quite the discussion. We had roughly a 2-hour presentation going through really SEO basics from A to Z. The agenda touched on a variety of topics. First and foremost, kicking off with definition of SEO, which can be defined in many different ways depending on who you speak to. Really, SEO these days is all about the user experience. And when we're talking about users, we're referring to, on one hand, the search engines, making sure that the website is accessible and that they're able to extract this great content from your website in order to really make it part of their ranking algorithm. And then on the other side, we of course have the human visitors. We want to make sure that their experience with the website is filled with finding the right content that they're searching for. And then once they get to the website, you want to make sure that they're able to view this content without any issues. So that was sort of an introduction to what SEO is. Why SEO matters. We then looked at a variety of different slides that touched on, say, for example, roughly 3 out of 5 US adults, when surveyed, it was discovered that they were clicking through natural listings. So roughly 60% were clicking through, as I said, the natural listings. And then also, the higher the rank, which makes complete sense. The higher you rank in SEO for your whatever product or service you're offering, the better chance that you're going to have searchers clicking through to visit your website to see all this great content that you have to offer. We then touched on some search engine basics, which really dealt specifically with how search engines work. So I had made reference during this training that you could have probably 100 slides as to how a search engine works. But to sum it up, basically, there are 3 different things that a search engine does. The first thing being crawling all this great content that's on the web, millions and millions of pages and links. So the search engine is sending out its bot or its crawler or its spider, whatever you want to call it. And it's a computer program, and it just loves to eat up all this content and all these links. Once it does that, it has to store all this information somewhere. And that's when it takes it and it adds it to its index that is constantly being built as it finds more and more content on the web. With this index in place, when a human goes to search in Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever search engine they're using, it is then the job of the search engine to go to its index and return what it feels is the most relevant result based on whatever query that searcher was using. So this is where the ranking algorithm gets involved, and Google, for one, has hundreds and hundreds of different really factors of its ranking algorithm. Some people will call them signals, and of course a lot of these signals are unknown. If they were known, then everybody would know how to rank #1 for a particular query. So it's always a super secret algorithm when it comes to these search engines. We then touched on local search and how local search is playing a much bigger role these days as far as SEOs go. And if you look at any search engine results page and you say you enter the query for pizza, these days chances are a search engine like Google is going to use geolocation and personalization to really get a good idea of the neighborhood you're searching from, for example. So instead of just showing you generic results for your query, instead they're showing you the restaurant that's down the street or the store that's in your neighborhood that you may end up visiting and making a purchase. So local search is definitely on the radar and making more and more of an impact each day, especially for SEOs. As far as the search engine audience goes, which I kind of touched on earlier, we spent a little bit of time just explaining the difference between the audience and how you have search engines on one side and humans on the other. And really, part of being an effective SEO is to find that middle ground where you're optimizing the website, not just with humans in mind. So you're writing all this content for humans, but you also want to remember that there's a search engine that's running this content through its ranking algorithm. So you want to make sure that you're following all these best practices practices in order to have the most effective SEO engagement. Our approach to SEO here at Performics, it's based on 4 different pillars. The first pillar being indexation. So what that is really making sure that all your pages are indexed in the search engine. We find some problematic sites all the time where they may have 1 million pages on their website, but only 100,000 are appearing in, say, Google's results. It's our job as SEOs to really figure out what's going on behind the scenes. Is it a technical issue? Is it a design issue? It could be a variety of different factors that are causing this website to not be indexed properly. So then there's a content optimization pillar, the second pillar, and what that deals with is basically all the great content that you're creating for your client, from title tags to header tags to original articles. Whatever content you are creating plays a huge role in optimizing your website and really making your SEO program as effective as possible. And we've seen just in recent months how the value of great content, because Google has had some updates where a lot of websites have been punished basically for not having original, unique content. So it's very important to always focus on all sorts of content that you're creating for your client to make sure that it's as fresh and relevant as possible. The third pillar, link building. So this is another huge chunk of what makes for effective SEO. So you've got your content, a huge piece of the pie, of course, making sure you have great content. But then you also have your link building efforts, where links, as far as search engines go, links are very valuable. They're basically counted as votes. And you could think of it as a popularity contest in a way where if page A has, say, really good content and page B has content that's just as good, but page A has 1 million backlinks to it and page B only has 1,000. Google right away is going to say, you know what, great content. It's going to look at that link portfolio and say, oh, there's a lot of great sites that are linking to this website. We're going to give this website A, more authority over website B. So it's very important to build a lot of quality and a lot of links in general, but you just want to make sure that they're coming from the right sources and that they are offering relevant content to your website. And then finally, we also talked about some important SEO elements, and this ranges from, and when we speak SEO 101, really this was going way back to day one, where there was always a focus on the title tags and meta description tags and H1 tags and body content. Really all the elements that you can change on the fly once you've done your keyword research and you've figured out what are the most targeted, relevant keywords for your website. This is when some of those elements come into play. The title tag, of course, being the most popular of the SEO elements. You just want to make sure if you're going to get anything right when it comes to copywriting that you get your title tag right. And that should do it. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this.